Good evening. It is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. I'm Glenda Carlin. Thank you so much for those that came out live this evening and for those that view this video later. I much appreciate it. I much appreciate it. It's just really wonderful. The ones that send me comments or emails, I really appreciate reading those as well. From the videos, people will comment, or then I get emails. So I appreciate that because it helps direct me in my teachings and etc. It's beautiful. Oh, there's Corrine. I got praying here with my eyes closed. We invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, the enlightened beings and ascended masters. They're always here, always present. We invite them in, guide me what to do or say, help those here have insights that can help them in their journey, in their path practice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, here comes Lorraine. So, welcome, 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 God Barbie, welcome, God Ed, welcome, God Danelle, welcome, God Leon, welcome, God Corrine, welcome, God Lorraine, welcome, God Terry, who's on her way in, God Glenda. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. The topic for tonight's, here comes Debbie. If I can click on this. The topic for tonight's teaching came as a result of me listening to a podcast from Lama Surya Das. It's number EP44, it's called. And the name of the podcast is called The Scientific Method of Enlightenment, How to Find Buddha's Enlightenment Experience. And I found the podcast so powerful and so informative. I listened to it. Let's see, make sure everybody's muted and everything. So in the recording is, welcome, welcome. There's Corrine, there's Terry that's come in. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you. Is this podcast is on Be Here Now Network. Let me double check that. Yeah. Called The Scientific Method of Enlightenment, How to Find Buddha's Enlightenment Experience. I must have listened to it at least 4 times. And why I did that is first I take handwritten notes, wide spaced, and then I listen to it after the first time. I think, oh yeah, this is right. Second time, then the third time I'm writing again. Then on the 4th time, well, then I word process the whole thing double lined. And then I re-listen to it, print it out, and then I make notes. And I love doing it because, as you all have probably learned in your practice, those things you really concentrate on, they come on the conscious level, but things are happening on the unconscious level we do not know about. But it's our intention. It's our intention, our desire to awaken and understand these high truths. But anyway, so then I wrote up the document, and then when I sent the email out, I attached it. And if you didn't get the email, I didn't send this out to, like, there's 400 or 500 in my email list. I have a grouping of the main people that come here about every week or so. So if you didn't get it, just email me and I'll send this to you. But it's so intensive, so extensive that Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, and light means, please help me give it justice, because this is a very powerful teaching. I mean, how more powerful can you get it? How to find Buddha's enlightenment experience. I mean, really, whoa. So because Lama Surya, I took him as a guru, and that started in October of 2019. And I kind of realized I still look at these Facebook posts, I still read these books, I still listen to these podcasts. So in essence, he's still a guru, even though I can hear that inner voice sometimes, our higher Buddha, Christ voice, Holy Spirit voice. But in 2019, just to recap, is in about November, rumors started about COVID. And then in the spring, our country got shut down along with most of the world. And as I read my transcription of this podcast, I realized what had happened. Well, it's explaining many of the steps that Lama Surya Das has taken me through, either in Zoom retreats, Sunday meditation town halls, transmissions. He just gives to me books, but it's summarized in this podcast. So I looked back on it as to what I've gone through in hopes to save each of you some time on your awakening, to help give you insights about what happened to me as I tried to do these practices. So in essence, because of COVID, and then even after I was in the mode of being immersed in these teachings, this has been about a 5-year process. And in this podcast, Lama Surya talks about, we need to be humble because his holy gurus had meditated and done things for decades. So don't let any of us think we've really got it made because we've done some foreign retreats or had some glimpses of the light or whatever, because that's we want to avoid called premature immaculation, because ego is ready to jump in there and have you stop, because that's the opposite of what we want to do. Because my ego tried to do that with me during these 5 years, and hallelujah, I would look at a podcast and he would post different ones, and one of the things that helped me in awakening, I would read the podcast, and the ones that touched me, I would then go print them out, carry them around, and integrate it in my daily life. And in those, they would talk about where I was stuck. And I'd realize, oh, I was stuck on that. And then I'd practice whatever was in that lesson. So we have to be self-aware, aware of when we're stuck or when we're making this judgment. Oh, it's over, it's done. I've achieved these goals that I want. Because this conscious and unconscious mind is so vast, and the awakening is so deep there, because we've got inner, outer, secret, and top secret levels of that are being worked on by the light of Holy Spirit, the light of truth, love. The love that we give out comes back and works on our unconscious mind. It's all a mix. And those things that come up before your face or in your mind, that's because you're doing the work, the practices you've set up I'm sure, a daily practice of meditation, studying, contemplations, carrying around your notes, putting sticky notes around, reminding you to practice, etc. I kind of lost what I did when I stopped that. Is this is never ending. Even that Lama Surya Das says he still reads books from holy people, and he's grasping paragraphs and sentences that he can then use to help his students and all of us. But also it helps refine his mind, and all this is called, we're doing two things at once. We're swooping from above with this high absolute teaching that we are spirit, this clear light, love light of spirit, looking, we've looked beyond the body, beyond the flesh to the clear light of spirit that's here. So we have that vision in our mind. That's the swooping, the view, it's called the big VIEW view in Dzogchen and in, I don't know all these schools, but the view, meditation, and action, the view is prevalent in both meditation and action, because you got to hold that view of what you know the truth is, the absolute is, while we do the relative, which is the climbing up from the bottom of the mountain with these practices that we're doing. But at any given moment, any one of these practices can zip you faster along the path, which we never know. You just keep practicing. But now what I want to get to, because this time passes fast, is as I listened to that podcast, printed out, read his podcast, then I sat down with Holy Spirit, and Monday it was off and on 8 hours that I was working on this article, this teaching. And now when I look at that teaching, I go, where'd some of that stuff come from? It's like, what? Well, that's what we all find. You get centered in this clear light, centered, aligned, being, you're in that resting of beingness. That's one of the thing about enlightenment and awakening. There's no real differentiation between whose thoughts whose around here, because on these holy thoughts, they're mixing. But also in enlightenment, what it means is we become acutely acutely aware. We've cultivated this awareness of beingness, of our true nature, of what we are, this clear light that's animate in all our forms. That is the crux of his whole podcast. But how do you come to that stabilization, come to that insight and stabilize it and live from it? And when I read that whole, my transcription of the podcast, it's meditation. I mean, really. And here's what he says is, because what we're wanting to do is cultivate this big A, capital A awareness versus the little a, ordinary, egoic awareness, who's running around out here focused intently on forms, just zeroed in on a form, not lean back, looking at the spacious, clear light that's animating the form or the light that's around and everything. It's zeroed in, focused in ordinary awareness. But we cultivate this awareness. He writes it, he says it in there: meditation, number one, mindfulness, yoga, samadhi. Now, the yoga he's talking about is the yoga of joining, where when they're doing the practices of the physical body, the mind is focused. Awareness is focused on like the inner energy or visual, the light. It's this what we focus on, where our intention is, what we concentrate on. So, but so I'm going to read here some things he said about awareness. We realize in meditation, we realize our own Buddha nature through mindful awareness. We recognize the natural state of being. Meditation is about awareness practice. You make this list. See, in my email, I kind of made the list too. We straighten out our mind through meditation. I love that one. Don't you love that? We straighten out our mind through meditation. And then page eight from his podcast, on my thing on page 8, he's got this. I went within his podcast and got where he talked about meditation. And this is an exact Lama Surya quote: beyond good and bad, into meditation of non-meditation, being wholly, incandescently, lucidly present. Make sure so swooping down with the view of things as they are. Now, that's what the crux of this whole podcast is: awareness of the view, of each of us being aware how things are. That means we're not denying these forms that show up, our karmic involvement, which means the forms that show up in front of our face or in our mind, and this spiritual involvement where they're joined, because form and emptiness are inseparable. This is all interrelated. But is that how you see? See, that's the vision that you're cultivating, is seeing things as they are, as they are, as they are. And it took, I'm telling you, it's probably 4 years was not seeing things as they are. Because whatever reason, I hadn't got to the part about embodying the Christ, Buddha, God, mind and virtues and this awareness and walk. And granted, it's an illusion. All this an illusion, dreamlike hallucination. But in this highest non-duality is when we have integrated heaven and earth, meaning we're walking around Buddhas and Christ on earth. That means this light, the awareness, we know we're a Buddha, God, Christ mind, spirit animating the form. And that spirit is inside feeling what it's like to be inside our body. So that's why it's called awareness. Aware of your feelings, aware of your thoughts, aware of how your body feels. Because that spirit, that's your Buddha. I never got this until within the last few months. That's the purified state that we're spirit, and we're feeling all these six stimuli, these impulses, these sensations. But when asleep or partially awakened awareness, we go off joint and jam reacting on these stimuli. Now, in this awakened awareness, that just means you caught yourself and you come back and you say, "Oh, I just went off there for a minute. I wandered off a minute." And you're bringing this awakened awareness that you've cultivated back to this center and alignment with spirit, with beingness. And I love about that when you meditate, just soft feel that light energy, that prana that's inside your form. And as you wake up, it permeates out your cells, because it's all there is. It's that there's not that skin right here doesn't stop it. It's only this pure, clear light prana energy animating everything, God energy. So you be with it. Oh, I love that. You be with that. You're aware of that. You rest with that. That's your nature. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Then when you're off the cushion, you're walking around and you're taking this breath and going, ah, ah. And that's so powerful in that as we walk around, we'll forget that we're spirit. We're getting the body actions. We're in karmic involvement. Just the way it is. But if we stop, see, I'm mixing this with another podcast I'm starting to listen to, which is number 77, which is about practice. And this podcast is about practice as well, integrating this into your daily life, which is called Treading the Path. That was in this podcast. And I just giggled when I heard that, because I talk about, and I've heard others talk about, when the rubber hits the road. That means when I'm practicing these truths in my daily life, but the tread of the tires, the rubber, so you're treading the path. Don't you love that? So in that 77 podcast, Lama Surya Das talks about, in Mecca, or the Muslims, they will have a call, they call out 5 times a day, go get the mat, and they come and they pray. Well, so he was quoting some Google executive that had written up a program for all these big, high Google executives, and saying to him, you need to stop about 11 seconds and, basically take a breath and relax. Well, so during your day, as often as you can, just take a breath, and on the exhale, go, ah. And when you do that, what happens? You unconsciously let go. You let go of everything. I'm telling you, it is just a beautiful remedy for contractedness, egoic thinking, and this joining. It's hard to join when you're not separate, but you've relaxed to feel this presence, your spirit presence that's here now. And then you go about and be there 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. Like I think Lama Surya says, what the hey, a minute, do it a minute. And then off you go. You know, this is merging form with emptiness. This is bringing the awakened, enlightened mind wisdom. This is wisdom. You're bringing wise, skillful action into your day. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I realized that's what I did. That's what I learned to do was integrate these things in my daily life. The other, I'm going to be on that meditation, but because I'm on a roll here, I'm going to keep going, is I learned from going to some Zoom retreats with that Lama Surya Das. He had breakout sessions, and I was in one with Deb, with the who told me about the Dzogchen LA meditation group that meets Monday through Saturday, 11 to 12 Eastern time. And since June of 21, almost every day, I've meditated with that group. There's a synergy with the group. But here's the deal. I didn't know how to meditate. I did not know how to meditate. And it took years, couple years, or I mean, this is something that you cultivate. But you can't cultivate this awareness if you don't meditate. It's a fact. You are delaying your awakening if you don't try to meditate each day. But anyway, that's up to you. I'm just explaining what happened to me. And I love doing it. So in this meditation, in that podcast, he talks about concentration and bringing the awareness from the wandering awareness back to the object of concentration. Now, see, I didn't learn to do the object of concentration like a candle or breath, but that's perfectly wonderful because you got something to bring your attention back to. What I did, I don't know why I did it. But it was more difficult, but somehow I could do it. I tried to do it and finally did it. Was behind my forehead was this it's because of the great ray light that was open. Now, without the great ray light to direct me to go inside to vertical, I would have been lost longer, and I probably would have gone to the breath or a candle to take my attention to. Because when the mind in meditation, when the mind's wandered off, and it'll do it 100, 300 times in a meditation time, as soon as you can catch it with the leash of remindfulness, it's called, you're bringing it back to the object of concentration, whether it's the spacious, clear light behind your forehead, moonlight, or the breath, or the candle flame. What you're doing, you're building a habit, of a spiritual habit, a spiritual muscle of where bringing your attention back from thoughts and feelings, grabbing onto them and pushing them away. You're becoming awake and aware of how the mind's working. So you're no longer ignorant. In that podcast, he clearly defines that a lot of teachers teach it's desire and attachment that causes suffering. He says that's a mistranslation. What's causing the suffering is ignorance. Ignorance. And ignorance. And so in my, let's see if I can find it really, if I can find it here. Ignorance, ignorance. That means we don't know what we are, what our brothers are, and what source is. We're ignorant of it. And because we're ignorant, we think we're a body or a separate self. And then these six senses, thinking, hearing, seeing, those we believe are real because they're in the head. You know, you look around with your eyes and you hear sounds, but that's part of the illusion. That's the stimuli that we've been insane with. So that's the ignorant part. And when I found the a definition of ignorance, this DZIGAR Kondrel, Kongtrul, states there are two levels of ignorance. Ignorance of the absolute or the essential nature of phenomena, and the ignorance that prevents us from taking an accurate reading of the relative world. So because we're ignorant of the absolute is this clear light of Rigpa, Dharmakaya. Jesus in the Course calls it just this clear light. Spirit, it's showing up as clear light. Spirit is the activating, no, wait a minute. Mind is the activating agent of spirit. You're awakening, you're unveiling this spirit, this God mind, this Christ Buddha mind, this Christ Buddha awareness, capital A awareness. Okay, then these two kinds of ignorance are like two kinds of thread. When they're tightly woven together, they're not easy to identify, yet they make up the fabric of delusion. As a result of the first type of ignorance, we lack wisdom. Now let's see. Ignore ignorance of the absolute or the essential nature phenomena. That's one. And the other one is the ignorance that prevents us from taking an accurate reading of the relative world. Accurate reading of the relative world. We're not able to read the world. We are in it. We have, with ego, sight, and mind, we have focused intently in on this world, relative world, believe it to be real. I mean, it just culture, training, beliefs, wrong concepts, etc. As a result of the first type of ignorance, we lack wisdom. And in this podcast, he talks about wisdom is the corrective, a panacea. Now, what wisdom means is you become wise. I love this. I love it. Your enlightenment means you're lit up with this wisdom. You're no longer fooled. You're awake, aware, alert, enlightened as to what the hell's going on around here. Who's doing what around here? Anyway, I'll keep going here. Let's see. We lack wisdom. Lacking an understanding of our true nature, we perceive that which is illusionary and spacious to be solid and real. The second type of ignorance is the inability to clearly understand the laws of karma and interdependence, which then results in an inaccurate relationship to the world. See, that's the ignorance. We don't understand the laws of karma, which are these six senses. We allow our awareness to go grab onto a sight, grab onto hearing. We allow that. Our awareness goes over there and grabs. So you know karmic laws, the two-ness, But if we lean back into the spirit that we are, the clear light we are, and due to meditation, learn to let these thoughts and feelings come and go, then we're going to let them come and go when we're off the meditation cushion. And in that meditation, we learn to have that sacred pause, that gap, where there's a pause between stimulus and reaction, or becomes a response. When you're not reacting, you respond. You've taken a counted to 3, 10, whatever, taken a breath. Oh, I love this so much. Oh man, this is so cool. Is ignorance. So you're becoming wise. Oh, this is just, they're so, let's see what, this is called the view of things as they are, called clear vision, a karmic unfolding beyond good and bad. This is what I'm talking about here. A karmic unfolding beyond good and bad. These, I thought meditation, and when I became awakened or enlightened, everything would be la-di-da, happy, happy, happy. No issues, no problems. No, no, the ego never stops talking. And there's besides a personal karma, there's a family karma, there's a country karma, collective karma. I mean, there's no rhyme and reason. It's just all screwed up in this delusion. But it's not the cards we're dealt, it's how we play the hand. So that's why, because the karmic, any images that show up is karma, even if it's a good looking image, an image you like, be careful. Eagle's going to go out there and grab onto it. That's called clinging and attachment. And then when it dies or leaves or changes, guess what? We're all messed up then, because we've, doesn't mean we don't grieve. Don't get me wrong. But we've just grabbed onto it. It's like the Mila beads. We've glued moments together to make words, thoughts, sentences, paragraphs, stories, and that the Mila bead can no longer run through our hands freely. Thoughts and feelings are not freely coming and going. We've grabbed on, we got rope burn. We're drugged down the street with it, just probably, then you could get run over with a car. You're just drugged, and everything, other stuff happens. So in this awakened, enlightened state, you have awakened awareness, and you're aware when you go out there and grab, because it'll happen. It happens. I mean, and you still enjoy things, but you come back to beyond good and bad. Now I want to read these 2 paragraphs. Oh, here it is. Swooping down with the view of things as they are, clear vision. That means we're not trying to throw out what's showing out in front of our face, get rid of it, change it, etc. Things as they are is you're living with this karmic unfolding as things as they are. It's called meditation, non-meditation, being and non-being. This it's a joining. It's a joining. I mean, I'm gonna keep going here. Everything is a lawful unfolding, just as it is, beyond good and bad, into meditation of non-meditation, being wholly, WHOLLY, incandescently, lucidly present. Okay, so we're not trying to get rid of the images and stuff. You're present. You're lucidly present. Awakened awareness is what this means. Isn't that delightful? Now, my old way of trying to meditate, I was trying to repress thoughts and feelings. And there's plenty of people still try to do that. No, no, no. That's just with this awareness, we learn when we've attached to one in our mind in meditation and let it go. Come back to the center, come back to the spaciousness, this clear view, the big swooping view. Oh, this is so beautiful. After that, he describes, comes the natural Buddha activity, which is selfless, beneficial bodhisattva, liberating activity, beginning with the view, meditation, and action, and then he breaks out the Eightfold Path. So what happens, we do cultivate these virtues and attributes. So the Course has got them, Buddha's got them. But what happens if due to meditation, you will get the right view. You will get the right intention. You will have wise mindfulness, wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood. This is all going to happen. But granted, so during the relative practice, you do study and contemplate the Eightfold Path because that's the tried and true path that Buddha awakened with. That's the experiment that once you replicate it, the result can be duplicated. Now, but then in this podcast, he's talking about Dzogchen. Now, see, Dzogchen is how you zippity do pass purification, pass this relative practice. Now, I did both, and I think most everybody does. There's there could be some really enlightened people that got it, but it's typical 20 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. People have practiced, but may not have practiced the way Lama Surya Das is talking about this. It's worth listening to that podcast, EP. Now I forgot the number. Let's see, where's the oh, gee. EP44, it's called. EP44. So that brings me back to when what happened to me in this training, which can be a benefit to you, is by going to that meditation group Monday through Saturday, it rubs off on, then I'd meditate for a few minutes other times during the day. Watch TV, I sit there and just come lean back into the light and clear light and be. You know how it is. You just are doing this more and more. But what I want to share is the key is meditation. And as I look back on it, and as this podcast tells you, it's the key. So if you want to save yourself years of work, find you some Zoom group or an in-person group and meditate. But also the type of meditation you want, sky gazing and space mingling, because sky gazing, what that does is you let clouds, eyes are open and you're letting clouds come and go. You're letting birds come and go. You're letting the airplane come and go. And you're thinking about, oh, I'm not going to go, the sky doesn't go out there and grab an airplane. I'm going to let that airplane, that bird, that cloud go. The sky is infinite, vast, no corners, no center, no sides. Now, when I talk about meditation and bringing my attention back to center, that's in meditation practice. But he describes in this podcast what happens with enough of that. There's no longer center. There's no longer outer and inner. There's just spaciousness. You're just resting in spaciousness, which is not easy to do. You learn how to lean back and just take a breath, and relax. Just relax. And be as you are. See, that's the naturalness of this enlightenment. You're naturally this body in whatever state it's in, happy, sad, sleepy, awake. This is part of this meditation, being aware of how the body feels when you're feeling it without judging it. See, that's the just seeing, just hearing, just touching, just tasting, just feeling without the labeling of good and bad. But yet you do whatever you need to do, respond, right? This is the beingness that I never understood truly until this is part of this embodiment. Of course, there's no bodies in this absolute source, but in the high duality, the Garden of Eden has become awake and back in its original state, where all the beings have remembered they are God, Christ, Buddha, light, and are enjoying, feeling all these experiences. They're awake and aware of what they are. They're no longer ignorant that they're a tree or a human being or an animal. Now, being a human being, you want to not take this lightly because you got a mind that can reason with itself. I don't know if animals can do that. A human can. And with that ability, you can then reason about these truths and contemplate them, investigate them, and integrate them in your life, experience them, and recognize when you have an attachment and aversion, etc. So practice like your hair's on fire, because we don't know when any of this is going to end. And I'm being serious. This uh, you're not over in the ditch, not taking care of your budget or cooking or buying your groceries. Don't get me wrong, but you're practicing as much as you can. But I want to explain about the other thing that really helped me was doing. He describes in this podcast the 3 phases of meditation: warm up, the practice, and cool down. In Tibetan meditation, oh boy, it's powerful, powerful, powerful. I had no idea until transformations occur. Is so that Dzogchen meditation group I had, they got a prayer booklet. There's a prayer booklet because we were in retreats and Lama Surya put a prayer booklet together, prayers and chants and mantras, and we say them in Tibetan and then English. And when we say them in English, is when I started out, when I started, I was 68 years old when Dzogchen showed up, Lama Surya Das, and Buddha. I didn't know I'd heard of Buddha, but I didn't know a thing about him. I had not studied any Buddhism. I didn't know the word Lama preceding a person's name means they're officially enlightened and trained how to wake you the hell up, save you years of work. I had no idea. None. Zippity doo, guys. That means I didn't get the full impact of what I could have learned. Okay. But in a way that was really, really good, which I want to share in this video, is that because I didn't have any, that resulted in I didn't have any preconceived ideas, because there's all kinds of schools of training in Buddhism, like there's all kinds of religions in Christianity. And I bet I'd be like everybody else. Oh, my school of Adriana or whatever. I can't even say the names of them. Mine's better than your school. You get all tied up in this who's better, who's got a better teaching. So what happened? I was just paying attention to truths that touched me, and I would practice them. And even to this day, I can't describe in Buddhism some of the words of what I learned to do, and people will tell me, "Oh, that's that," and I go, "Oh, okay, thanks." But anyway, so then the point I'm saying here, I was open. But what I recognized was, and I put it in the email, Jesus says in the Course, okay, here's what he says. This course will lead to knowledge, but knowledge itself is still beyond the scope of our curriculum. Now that's big, folks. I had not read that and didn't understand it. I only found that when I started my Zoom meetings, because I'm trying to share. People ask me, what the heck are you doing in Buddhism? I mean, or Dzogchen, chanting and carrying on. Well, here's the deal. I was presented this and I accepted it because it was a curriculum that was to be added to the Course in Miracles. I still do both, but it changed, allowed me to then go back and understand what Jesus was saying in the Course and vice versa. It just goes back and forth, because in the Course, Jesus is teaching we are this divine Christ nature that's obscured by thoughts, feelings, and concepts, which is what Dzogchen and Buddha says. Our Buddha nature is obscured by beliefs, thoughts, etc. I mean, it's so beautiful. So that they're common. They're common. So I realized I was stuck. I was a Course of Miracles student stuck in words of the Course. Words. I was stuck in words. And with this chanting and meditating, and integrating of these truths, knowing, ignorance, letting go of the person used to be. That's a book he is. Realize I got to let go of this person I used to be. I had not come to that in the course. And I'm sure maybe some others do, but I hadn't. Okay. And there's no self. So it all means. But I want to get at, I was stuck in words. So why this is important is I want to make sure, if in case I forget, somebody raise your hand about in that one retreat where I felt the word suffering. But before I get to that one, is so when I went to that Dzogchen meditation group, they were chanting in Tibetan, and then we'd speak it in English. I heard ego say, well, I'm never going to chant those foreign chants. I mean, he was not doing it because it would wake him up because they have a vibration. They got primordial, groundless ground sounds of awakening that touch our heart, mind, all these chakras, touch them. They touch these chakras, vibrations. And our mind, moving it from ordinary mind to our Christ mind. It's touching that mind with the light vibration. These have light. We're prana light energy, clear love light energy. These chants, these seed syllables, they got energy. They're tried and true, 2,500 years, thousands of years, etc. But slowly, they told us if you can't say the chants, just let the sounds wash through you. Hallelujah that I didn't have ego stop me from doing that, because I leaned back and I'd picture. You can see that's the other thing. My intent, when I look back on it, my intent went, it's washing, it's cleaning my mind, my heart, my body of these thoughts. I knew I had some judgment thoughts. It's cleaning. See, that was my intent. So therefore, Holy Spirit could work with this stuff, Buddha nature, Christ nature, Holy Spirit, more than I could do because I've accepted it. Help, in essence, I'm saying help me because I know it's washing. So then slowly I could say a word in Tibetan, then a phrase, a sentence. I can say some of the chants. And it's just, there's a flow. There's this, it's just so gorgeous. It's just these flow of these sounds. But then what came up is the English translation. Now, what I'm not talking about here is being stuck in words or in the mind. I'm talking about when I would read these English translations, but we're in meditation. You're already starting to soften because you're chanting, you're hearing these sounds. I wonder what that means. Because I'd wonder what's primordial mean, what's suffering, what's, nature. Because they'll put it until fully awakened or fully enlightened, the three times. You're contemplating things. So anyway, I would be contemplating. In this podcast, Lama Surya is talking about, oh God, I wish I could. There's so much information here. You see where he says about prayers and chanting. It was just so beautiful. Let's see if I've mixed up his podcast. I think this is it. And where he says about prayers and chant. Uh, Prayer without awareness is just parroting prayers. Very little benefit. It is the awareness, the mindfulness, the concentration in the prayer, the intention, the concentration that makes prayers active. And then he gives the story of the parrots that were at the 16th Buddha Karmapa's, rooftop in some monastery in Tibet. He loved birds. And on the rooftop, they were in cages. And he believed that they were the reincarnation of lazy, fallen monks. And he taught them to chant the mantra, Karmapa Cheno, Karmapa Cheno, Karmapa Cheno. And it just, every time we go up there, he'd feed them Karmapa Cheno, Karmapa Cheno. I looked it up. I Googled what that is. It's believed sounds of this mantra are directly connected with this enlightened being, a holy Karmapa, and carry its enlightened qualities and brings help when it's most necessary for the benefit of the student. That's what happens with these sounds. But anyway, what I'm talking about here is because I had the intention of those words, what did that mean? And in another one, the prayers it talks about, gathering the meaning of something is, then it came together. So one time I was in I forget if it was a 3-day Zoom retreat, it's Zoom. And Lama Surya was leading a meditation, and part of the meditation was this 4 dharmas of, I hope I can say, let me find 4 dharmas of Gampopa. See if I can find it. And Longchenpa, I believe. Yes, something like that. And it was a sentence: blessing and powers that the path dispels or suffering. Oh, I need to find this. Okay. I can do this. Holy Spirit, help me out. Here it is. Blessing and powers. Okay, this is the 4 dharmas of Gampopa and Longchenpa. The sentence was, blessing and powers that the path truly dispels confusion. This is one sentence in the 4. I, for probably, maybe it had been months or maybe over a year, wondered about confusion. And confusion, I know that means we're in doubt what the hell we are. We're suffering then. When I heard that word confusion as we chanted it in that Zoom retreat, I broke down sobbing in front of everybody. And it went on for minutes. And I just let it, I've learned enough now and just let it be. And then after it was, this session was at the end, there's a question and answer. I raised my hand because I want to know what went on here. And so I was asking Lama Surya, in essence, what happened to me? And he comes back with, will you tell me? What happened? And I go, well, let me gather my thought. And then he interrupted me because I had never really thought about, I was stuck in thoughts, just words, thoughts. We want the experience. And so I said, oh, and I leaned back. Oh, no, he said, what do you feel? What did you feel? What did you feel? Because that's feelings. Now, I'm not talking about wallowing in egoic stuff. No, we're not talking that here. Is I explained that when that word suffering, I felt the suffering of humanity, all humanity. It was just an overwhelming understanding that humanity in general suffering because they're, and then because all that's lying, okay? So what I want to explain is these are life-changing moments because then that evolves into empathy. Now, but before that, it would be like I would just believe we're all interconnected. We're all in the same boat. I want to help my brothers wake up. Any light and benefit that I have will go out and help them. But this puts it on an entirely different path because you feel it. You feel an empathy with your brothers and sisters, and you want to try to help them not have this suffering. And how we can do it is by how we think of them. Now, granted, we may be guided to join a charitable group or give some money to a charitable group or donate to a Lama or whatever. But the highest thing is this advanced forgiveness and meditation, where how we think of our brothers and sisters when we have images of them at the grocery store, gas line, stoplight, you're silently saying, God, 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 I love you to all these beings. And that is, and thinking about them as spirit, as God, they're gods and goddesses, because that's all there is. That's all there is. Granted, people don't act that way, and we're not doormats to anybody. We still can set boundaries and do what we need to do. But yet underneath, we remember and think of them in their true identity. And then you think of your unconscious mind thinks that's you. And you do that enough, it it piles up in the unconscious mind, the belief that you're not a body, you are free. You are still as God created you, as source created you, which is this infinite, luminous, incandescently presence, loving presence, loving presence. Um, oh, so we don't want to be parrots that just chant this stuff, just say these words, because it came to me a couple of times. I would get that sense when I was going to say the English version or chant that it was monotonous. That's kind of the word, or bored. Just, oh, how many times can I say that? I didn't say that to myself, but I can imagine ego can do that. Okay, because that's the sign that I'm not in a big A awareness, awakened awareness, alert and present and lucidly present, right? So then that's when he writes about it, about this concentration. That's it. This is here. Like a parrot, prayers without attention, ATTENT, I went, without intention, without concentration, mindfulness and awareness have very little power. So when I'm looking at these paragraph of English translation, I'm being mindful. My mind's on it. I'm aware. Look at these verbs or nouns, some of them, I guess. Intention, concentration, all these things are cultivating your awakened awareness. Oh, wow. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I want to make sure I read the things that were. We straighten our mind out with meditation. I want to make sure that is said many times. That's in this podcast. He talks about there's a like a arrow master, arrow maker. I guess they're called Fletchers. I don't know. They have to straighten out the arrow. Well, meditation straightens, picture that image. You're straightening out your mind. It's all been convoluted, warped, just upside down, going back and forth, just a stimuli, you go and react, the mind jumps over there to that, then you get another it jumps over there to that, it's just gone. And there's some days, or if you're not careful watching TV, you can go from one thing to another without being consciously alert and aware. You're simply just watching this news thing and then practicing on God, 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 I love you, I love you. Oh my goodness. Oh, now I want to go to, at the end, he gives us a whole summary. He gives us a list of what we go through in this awakening and enlightenment. And it's page 6, page 7. Here we go over here. Oh, I'll do different colors paper next time. Now, oh, listen, look at this one. Oh. This is the one that begins in 22 minutes, 30 seconds. The deepest meditation is the balance of concentration and insight, where it's panoramic yet focused. Panoramic awareness yet focused, not spaced out. So Dzogchen teaching of the natural great perfection teachings of Tibet are based on root teachings of Bodhisattva way of universal enlightenment. But Dzogchen teachers take this to another level of non-dual direct access, enlightenment now, meaning in a second, you can have an insight, do a forgiveness that could open your arc of light or give you this brilliant join your heart and mind together. Oh, because joined heart and mind was really what's happening to me, because I'm no longer in intellectual words, where you take your attention and focus on your heart as you're thinking, as you're hearing, or put your hand on your heart, because that's taking your attention. That's joining divine heart, divine mind together. That's how we want to live. Then you naturally live the right choice, the right, all those eightfold teachings, right, wise speech, wise action, wise effort, wise mindfulness. But wisdom, Lama Surya said, is in both the first grouping and second grouping of the eightfold path. And that's not how it's presented by most teachers. Wisdom is what opens up this whole awareness, because you're wise to what you are. You're remembering what you are. Okay, here's these steps. First, here's what he says. First, we understand a little bit. Don't you love that sentence? We understand a little bit. You're on kind of a spiritual path. You understand a little bit. Next, you've gotten into the spiritual game. I mean, you're in there. You're in the game. Number 3, we cleaned up our life and our act through ethical self-discipline and morality and good deeds. Y'all can relate to all that. 4, through concentration, collectiveness, straightening our mind out like a Fletcher straightens the arrow out. We straighten our mind out through meditation. There comes more basic wisdom, understanding. He's taking you now, what's going to come to you, understanding, insights of the interconnectedness, and impermanence that builds on these 3 basic things of Buddhist trainings, which are ethics, sila, S-I-L-A, samadhi, concentration, meditation. That's Buddhism 101. This third wisdom builds from the ground up and unpacks the eightfold path. But the non-dual teachings are swooping down from above through the view into the meditation of non-meditation. Now, I never knew what the hell that meant. That means you're taken off the meditation cushion. You're walking around, but yet you've remembered what you are. This is a dream. I'm, Jesus or Buddha. I'm Glenda Buddha walking around in my living room. I'm experiencing picking up this cup to drink. Buddha's picking up this cup. What it feels like to pick this cup up. See, that is this non-meditation. You are living in the presence of the spirit that you are. I love it. I never got that, because that means you can move your hands. You're out jogging, you're out swimming, you're out sitting in your chair, talking to your neighbor. Everything is part of the meditation. Everything is grist for the mill. That's meditation. And with non-meditation, of non-meditation, of natural awareness. See, of natural awareness. You're aware of this clear light spirit. Now you just do it moments by moments, and you've got sticky notes around reminding yourself, because this is called mindful awareness. We cultivate awareness through meditation, mindfulness, yoga, samadhi. But the biggest deal is meditation. Let's see what else. Oh, then with that natural awareness, you end up with this action and conduct, that's loving. You're no longer drawn into the self-deception. Self-deception is we think we're a self, a body. We never put the body in harm's way, but we're living in self-deception. Putting self and kalaishas are these groupings of things that we cling to, and we just stop. We just are aware we're doing something and choose again. And if we're recurrently grabbing onto something, then you journal it and you practice advanced forgiveness on it by saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, God, God, God. If he, she, or it had known better, they would have done better. I would have done better if I'd known better. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Because see, we believe in dualism. That's the ego mind, dualistic. So we believe we've went out there and done something, and we think they've done something. So those are judgments. So we can forgive on these couple of levels. On this physical level, please forgive me. And I tell people, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I feel like I hurt your feelings. Please forgive me. I mean, and underneath them, we're practicing seeing the clear light they are. We're doing, we're cleaning up the unconscious mind as many ways as we can. Okay. All right. This is 2447 from above, with seeing things as they are beyond having to purify or do anything with these things, right? We're just accepting them how they are with the view that it's all God's. That's the view. That's the view. We're all gods and goddesses walking around here. That's the view. And then he says here, we're noticing all the karmic, wait a minute, view into meditation of non-meditation of just being. See, that's B-E-I-N-G. And I didn't know what being meant for the longest time. That just means this naturalist. In between that breath, you take that in breath and out breath, and there's a pause, and you just pause. That pause there, where there's a moment of stillness, that's beingness. That's your natural spirit. And then you just rest right there. You just and that space gets, wider. But anyway, and noticing all the karmic conditionings that make it hard for us to just be. Seeing what we get out of following all these impulses, and so can choose more intelligently, be more free and less reactive, more proactive, less reactive. Through mindful awareness, creating space between stimulus and response, some space for mindfulness to give us choice between stimulus and knee-jerk blind response, creates the sacred pause that Tara Brach in her book Radical Acceptance calls it. Pause there. Mindfulness between stimulus and response to choose a more skillful, intelligent response rather than to react, to respond proactively. Because see, what we're doing is we're learning how to live in the world, not deny the world. I'll have some Facebook interactions with some course groups, and boy, they just deny the world, deny the body. And now that's just where they are. And that's where I used to be when I was stuck in A Course in Miracles in the words, not the experience. Now, of course, the universe, the physical world, the body is an illusion. But in the awakened state, we're embodying this body with the spirit, clear light, and virtues of Christ, Buddha, God. We've come back to the Garden of Eden in its original state before the fall, before the separation. This physical world, of course. Of course, it's not real, but that's what you're awakening to. But yet then you live here. It's all joined then. Heaven and earth's joined. Nirvana and samsara are joined. They're not separate. They're not only in judgments, only in thoughts, good and bad, or duality. Are they separate? Now, we still got to make choices, and we make decisions and live in the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about how you practice, how your contemplation is. So you recognize absolute and relative and how they're integrated. That's what joined heaven, and that's in the Course, where heaven and earth no longer are separate states, something like that. And Buddhism is when nirvana and samsara are joined. That's what that means. But I never knew what that really meant. Oh, we're over enough, 8:15. So let's just look here. I have so many notes. And with a view of things as they are, which is clear vision, you see the images, you see the bodies. You're not denying them as they are. You see them, but then you aren't ignorant anymore. You have wisdom. They're the clear light of spirit, gods and goddesses, you know. And that's what karmic unfolding beyond good and bad means. Then therefore, you're one with your karma. By you letting thoughts and feelings come and go when you have hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, that's one with your karma. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's coming and going. These are projections made by this God, Christ, Buddha mind, source mind, made up all this stuff. And they're coming and going. They're projections. Wow. Wow. But that's the karmic unfolding beyond good and bad. Oh my. Oh, wait, here. Ignorance is the not knowing of who and what we are is the root of all evil. These are direct quotes from Lama Surya. Buddhism teaches wisdom is the antidote, the panacea for all that ails us. Wisdom of, what are you? And that comes with insights and understandings due to meditation. The wisdom of enlightenment is the panacea, the cure the cure all, the cure all. We realize our Buddha nature, our inherent freedom of being. See, we're just being in this body, being, just walking around, being in our natural spiritual state, being. And we're complete. The spirit's whole and complete. Realizing peace at any speed. That means you can have a busy day. Now, the other day, I kind of had to come back to the breath and take a breath. Oh, I want to make sure I cover that in that podcast 77. At any moment, you just take a breath, go all AH. That's a seed syllable. You're calling out to divine source with AH. You don't have, if you're mindful of it, you really are really being in the now. But then that relaxes and you're in the present, your divine presence. Ah, and you just are relaxed. You're being with your divine presence. See, it's that simple, but I never really got it. You don't have to have your great red light open to do that. You simply are being. This is your highest nature, your highest self, your natural state, being relaxed, And, you remember what you are, but we become awakened and enlightened by awakening our Buddha mind awareness through meditation. I'm going to read that again. This is Lama Surya Das talking. We become awakened and enlightened by awakening our Buddha mind awareness through meditation. Doo-doo-woo. Boy, that's a big deal. Now that I know what I know, I would have concentrated more on letting go of the person I used to be. And Lama Surya's got a book named by that because, and in Buddhism, it's the no self or no self, because, and this swooping from the view, keeping a view of this high view as we walk around in our relative practice. But okay, so now before I close, any thoughts or comments or questions? We're still recording. Thank you for this. In case I forget, people sometimes need to go because I've run over. Let's look at the screen of every tile, and this is called advanced forgiveness, thinking of people you can, as they are, images as they are. You can look past their image to the clear light of spirit they are, or call them God or Christ or Buddha, God Barbie, God Ed, God Lorraine, God Nance, God Liz, God Debbie, God Danelle, God Leon, God Corrine, God Julia, God Glenda. See out just a second. Woo, you get a lot of merit. And see, I don't do it for that, but that's what happens. The enlightened beings love it when you love on your brothers and sisters and recognize what the hell they are. It's big. Okay, Lorraine, thank you so much for coming out. I know people have businesses, a life, and they show up here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Glenda. You heard we met in the ethers of the being mind because I said I'm going to ask Glenda to share more of her experience, how your enlightenment, your awakening, the process of your awakening and practices, and you answered the prayer. So thank you so much. This is just perfect. Yeah.
And my email, I think I did a little more about it And that's what I'm going to try to do more and more in my emails,
Yeah.
is how I applied these teachings. And
Hmm.
see, when I did that chanting, Lorraine, I had no idea what would ever happen. I was simply trying to understand the word suffering, because see, in A Course in Miracles, that's not talked about so much. And of course, Lama Surya Das talks about, typically, that's what Buddha, people talk about on Buddhists, they just tell you it's suffering around here. And Lama Surya goes, oh no, there's the happy way of the swooping, the absolute Dzogchen awake now moment. But see, the suffering I needed to um, understand, because that brought with it the empathy for a humanity. Because in the course, I was just trying to awaken me, get me awakened. I didn't understand about wanting to help my brothers wake up, and think about helping them was meritorious. I never, and this is not talking about fixing them or changing anything they are. Granted, you got family and things, you can talk to them and say, can we discuss this? And you're sitting there in beingness as you do it. But you know what I mean, is
Hmm.
then for that feeling to come where I felt their suffering, and that's called breaking your heart open. And that just happened. But unbeknownst to me, um, all this builds on itself, which is what I want to share. Keep practicing, even if you don't have an experience like that. Doesn't mean you won't at some point, and you're not expecting it, but yet I'm trying to get across, you don't know how this builds on itself. It's not one for one. It's just so magnificent how any work you do, uh, it's not one for one. It could be 100,000 to one. I'm not sure, Lorraine.
Yeah, and that's what I found with studying the course, that it can get to be too much words, and my mind doesn't work well with words, and so this idea of it's the experience, it's the felt experience that is transformational. That's Thank you so much, because I know that that's what I need. That's what works for me. That's what creates the shift, is the actual experience, not just reading a bunch of words.
Yes, well, that's what I'm trying to share about. And in meditation, then space mingling
Hmm.
is to the experience of following a sound, and then when it goes to no sound, where there's no sound, just keep your attention and follow, still follow, because what you're doing, you're following space. You're connecting and dissolving, merging with space. Granted, we're never separate, but we're just, we're merging these, our seeming separate thoughts. That's powerful,
Hmm.
because and that resting, picturing that white fluffy pillow, the whole vertical length of you, you just lean back and rest in that. Then, and do that take that breath and go and just relax, lean back, relax. That experience of beingness is very, very powerful. And it gets deeper, 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 of course. And panoramic awareness in meditation can taking your vision, your view, front, back, all sides, no edges, 360 degrees. You get that will take an experience of expanding that awareness, and it extends, and you'll feel an extension. A panorama, and that podcast, he talks about panoramic awareness is part of the fruition of this. Um, yeah, where there's, oh, now there was another one about, there was one about, Simon. It's one that said, you do the breath, you do the concentration. Do you have your notes there, Lorraine? Do
Yeah.
you know what page? That is worth me putting in the record of, of, oh, and people that can't meditate, this thing about, but meditation is something that you can get a glimpse of stillness or peace, sort of like snow skiing on a bunny slope. In one day, you can experience something. And with meditation, you can do that. But he described where it was taking your, first you go, it's this attention. Let's see if I, concentration on an object, and then it changes. I found it here. Let's see. No. Oh, it's powerful. Let's see. I'm gonna do them slow here. 6, 10.
I loved what that was so helpful, what you quoted from Lama Surya about that we are one with our karma, like not having fear about our karma, like just,
No, I
okay,
can't
this
find
is
it.
arising, like seeing the good, the bad, not being attached, not pushing it away, and then that's being one with the karma, whatever is arising. That's so powerful. That's perfect.
Isn't it though? I didn't
Yes.
know to do that. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, it's simply an arising, but granted, if we're in danger, we do what we need to do. But oh, that's big A awareness, Lorraine. That's big A. Pat yourself on the back. That is really wonderful. All of this is see it, view it as it is, which means it's all of these images coming and going. That's the meditation of non-meditation and the karmic unfolding. Uh, oh yeah, it's just, that is just super with a view of things as they are, clear vision, karmic unfolding beyond good and bad. See, that's what you're doing. It's just arising. But again, we may need to do something. Now next, because like, like I bought a new TV. My TV, one was failing. Before it failed, I got a new TV. But I didn't realize I'd got the wrong TV. Guess what? It couldn't get hooked up. My brother-in-law couldn't hook it up. Of course, wasn't really bothering me, but I just thought it was a little odd. And I said to him, I wonder what lesson's in this.
It's like the course says, it's the curriculum. Like being, we don't choose the curriculum. I mean, it's in the unconscious, but like being with the whole curriculum, just as it is.
Yes, what it showed up. So then I needed to call to see if a technician, but then long story short, they told me to contact Best Buy. Uh, Maybe it should be returned, handle it with them. When I called Best Buy, before I called Best Buy, I realized I didn't need QLED. I just needed LED TV. It was going to save me almost double the price to get a QLED, which I had bought. So I then bought the LED TV, and they're taking back the one that couldn't get hooked up. Now, if the TV had been hooked up, guess what? I would never have done anything about it. I would have lived with that TV. And it was smaller than the one I wanted. I'd forgot you measure them diagonally for the one you want versus the length. So anyway, I was just giggling around today when that all came together about canceling the Samsung tech, having Best Buy come and get the TV, and then another one's going to be delivered. And this time, hi Kitty, I paid to have somebody install it and carry it and unbox it. So the deal is we still can operate in the world, but I'm aware these are just images, not losing my cool like in the olden days. Oh man, and then on hold on all these times. The Samsung Tech, the Best Buy, you know how it goes. When we get on the line, it's an ample opportunity to take breaths and rest and be. And I would ask myself, am I thinking about that person that's talking to me?
Mm.
Honest. I try to live this. And thanking them ahead. Oh, I know this is a nuisance, but I gotta explain. I can't get this cord in this TV. What do you think? Da da da. You know, uh, it's being considerate, and I wasn't gushy, fake loving, because that's also in his podcast. You don't have to be perfect every time either. In essence, he's saying do the best you can, but you're authentic. You're authentic. You're not faking your, like fakey lovey to saying I love you to a technician on the phone, blah, 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 whatever. Don't get me wrong. People do what they do. But the thing is, authentic, present, and taking care of things. So I ended up getting the correct size TV and gonna get it. And I'm in no hurry. The other TV's still going. But that's how living in the world is occurring
In the flow.
together, together. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. In the flow of whatever's arising. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
That's
It's
peace.
amazing. I'm just learning how to do it. I'm just learning to let go, let be, but yet still operate. I made these phone calls, etc. Oh, wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
gosh, Ren, thanks.
Thank you. I have to go, but thank you so much.
Thank you,
Blessings,
Lorraine.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Any other thoughts or questions or comments before I stop the recording? Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you for coming out. Oh, let's dedicate the merit of our practice tonight. Any benefit, any peace, any understanding, insights that we've received, we give it out to all sentient beings in all the realms. Help them remove all outer, inner, and secret obstacles that they've ever thought they've been incomplete, apart, or separate. Thank you. Love you guys. Okay.